Hi everyone, welcome to Get Well with Dr. Shel. I am Dr. Shalene Alalji, better known as Dr. Shel, and I know as a board-certified OBGYN and a functional medicine expert, your health is unique and deeply personal. It is a combination of genetics, lifestyle, and environment. Know this, no matter what your starting point is, you are never powerless over your health. Being on a health journey is a marathon, not a sprint. This podcast is about walking you through many different perspectives on health conditions, symptoms, and solutions that can help you get from fatigued to fabulous. My mission has always been to offer my patients and community the best of mental, physical, and spiritual wellness. You can learn more about me and my wellness center and schedule your telehealth appointment at drshel.com. We can support you no matter where you are in the world. This podcast is a powerful and simple way to carry the wisdom of thought leaders from around the world in your pocket and continue to develop your own healing journey every single day. So let the journey begin. Welcome to the Get Well with Dr. Shel podcast. It's a weekly podcast to inspire your highest health and wellness and an empowered exploration of the newest protocols and information. Before I tell you about my wonderful guest today, to support your health journey, I want to tell you about two amazing opportunities. First of all, one of the most powerful detoxification modalities is chelation. Chelation means to grab onto. In our clinic in Houston, our in-office chelation grabs heavy metals and minerals such as lead, mercury, copper, iron, arsenic, aluminum, and calcium, and literally removes them from the body. So to learn more about this cutting-edge protocol, just call the Dr. Shel Wellness and Aesthetic Center, 281-313-7435, and we can certainly give you more information because you would be shocked at how much heavy metals we're all carrying around with us. And whether you're near or far, let me also invite you to join my 7-day Detox and Immunity Challenge. The challenge is a self-directed journey that walks you through some of the most impactful changes you can make for your own health. Some you may think you know, but probably haven't been able to implement and truly own, and some aspects of health that may totally surprise you. So just go to drshelinstitute.com. That's DRSHEL institute.com. Okay, on with the show. Our guest today is the wonderful and brilliant Wendy Myers. Wendy is the founder of MyersDetox.com. Wendy is a heavy metals detoxification expert and a functional diagnostic nutritionist. She's the #1 best-selling author of Limitless Energy: How to Detox Toxic Metals to End Exhaustion and Chronic Fatigue. All of us need that, don't we? She also hosts the Myers Detox podcast, which is focused on all things related to detox. She's passionate about educating people on the importance of detox to live a long, disease-free life. She has created the revolutionary Myers Detox Protocol and the mitochondria detox programs after working with thousands of clients around the world. And most recently, she's helped to design and launch the Harmony Pendant to address the stress that EMFs put on all of our bodies. Ladies and gentlemen, detox is one of my personal lifelong passions, and I'm excited to talk to you about this topic. So welcome, Wendy.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So good to have you here. All right. So let's jump right in and talk about what you are so very good at. So the most important question, Wendy, what are we missing when we think about heavy metals and detoxification?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are not doing detox at all. They're not thinking about adding that to their health regime. And I think a lot of people, like myself, about 10 years ago, I was taking amazing care of myself. I was eating an amazing diet, all organic food, cooking it myself. I was taking a ton of high quality supplements. I was exercising 6-8 hours a week. I was sleeping. I mean, I was just doing everything possible, doing, de-stressing, doing yoga, things like that. And I still felt like crap. I felt terrible. And it was brain fog and fatigued and just mood issues and trouble sleeping and all kinds of things going on. And it just, I like, what's wrong with this picture?
Right.
And so I finally was trying to, went to the doctor, trying to figure out what's wrong. And they told me I had the hormone levels of a menopausal woman at 37. And I was thrilled to hear that. And I had low thyroid hormones and just all these nutrient deficiencies. And I just, they wanted to put me on hormone replacement therapy. And I just thought, no, that's not really what I had envisioned at 37 for myself. So I thought of myself as a very healthy person. So I just went on Dr. Google to try to figure out what caused this and how I could restore my body's ability to produce hormones naturally and, work on my symptoms. And I luckily very quickly happened upon heavy metals, and heavy metals and chemicals as an underlying, root cause of hormone disruptors and whatnot. And so I started a detox program, did some testing, and I started feeling better. Not right away. I did have some, sleep better within the first 30 days, but over time, I was able to restore my hormones and just resolve a lot of it, like little irritating subclinical symptoms that I had been dealing with, and that's where my website Myers Detox was born, in that research and that journey.
Nice. Well, that's a great story, because I know all of us, have a reason to do what we do, right? We become passionate because of some experience of ours. And in your case, it was a lot of the symptoms that you were feeling. So I want to kind of rewind and talk about, because this is a very important point for our listeners to understand. A lot of people think first of all, we don't think about hormones. We don't think about heavy metals causing hormone disruption, right? You just think, is it age, or is it, a lot of the toxicity that we have in our environment? What's going on in our body with the heavy metals? And then let's talk about some of the symptoms that you kind of alluded to. So there's insomnia or sleep disturbance, right? Fatigue.
Yeah, fatigue's really number one.
Fatigue is huge. And it's one of the things that, we definitely always say in our practice. You want to look at a comprehensive picture, not just, okay, well, let's just check your thyroid, or let's just check your sex hormones. Let's see what's going on underneath it all that might be causing this disruption, right?
Absolutely.
So what is it about heavy metals that causes so much fatigue? Can you explain that to our audience?
Yeah. So that, my number one complaint was fatigue. And that's the number one complaint I have of, all my clients that I've had over the years. And what I discovered in my research and in partnership with Dr. Bruce Jones as well, who is a medical doctor who's also he oversees our medical director at Myers Detox. And what we found is that there are certain heavy metals that interfere in mitochondrial functioning. And so there are metals like arsenic, aluminum, tin, thallium, and cesium. A lot of people have not heard of thallium and cesium, but they're in our environment from, the thallium's from petroleum deposits. So it's getting in, to the air from car exhaust and mining and industry. And then cesium is from nuclear testing and accidents. And so everyone I test has thallium and cesium these days. Wow. And so these toxins interfere in our mitochondria's ability to produce energy. Our mitochondria are little powerhouses that make our energy. And these metals poison enzymes that transport nutrients into the mitochondria. So you just don't have those raw building blocks that you need to produce ATP, which is the energy currency of the cells in the body. And so when that's compromised, your brain doesn't work as well, your digestion doesn't work as well, you don't have enough energy that you need. I mean, it just has this domino effect on every different organ system in the body.
Absolutely. Now, you alluded to when you test your patients or your clients. Tell me how you test your clients or patients.
Yes. So I start with an HTMA or a hair mineral analysis. And, there's no perfect test out there, but the HTMA is a really good screening tool to begin. But then we also do urine metals analysis and stool analysis as well, because some metals come out in the hair, some come out in the stool, some come out in the urine, some come out through the skin when you're doing infrared sauna or whatnot. So there's no one perfect test, But the HTMA is inexpensive, non-invasive. Everybody can do it. So that's one that we start with. And then, like I said, they can do urine and stool if they elect to.
Yeah, no, that's great. We actually do something very similar, the urine chelation test as well, right? So you can actually pull out the heavy metals. So you're right, there's no one perfect test, but I think it's important to know that heavy metals can be an underlying cause of a lot of symptoms that are unexplained, right? So, whether it's your practice or my practice, when you're in functional medicine, we're usually seeing our patients after they've seen 8 to 10 other doctors and they can't figure out what's wrong with them, because we're going to look at the absolute root cause of everything. And heavy metals is one of the big root cause of those undescribable, diagnoses or symptoms that just can't be explained. So with that being said, and I know this journey is very personal to you, what are you sort of sharing with your clients and with people who listen to your podcast? What are give me like the top 3 tips that you share about heavy metals and what patients should do if they think that they might have heavy metal toxicity?
Yes, well, it's interesting. Dr. Joe Pizzorno, who's one of the founders of Bastyr University, he said that toxins are the #1 primary driver of disease today. And I firmly second that as well. I think toxins are the underlying root cause of heart disease, of high blood pressure, of diabetes, and a lot of the chronic illness that people have today. And when they're going to their conventional doctor, they're not looking at that at all. Or if they do test, a patient asks for a test, they're not doing the right kinds of tests. They're doing blood tests, which, are not going to find very many metals, if at all. And they'll get false negatives. And so what people need to be thinking about, testing is great. It's better to test, not guess, know exactly what you're working with. But if you want to do some simple things, if you kind of, this resonates with you, if you're concerned that you may have heavy metals, we have a heavy metals quiz people can take at heavymetalsquiz.com. But you can that will kind of give you an idea of your heavy metal load, your body burden of toxins. But you can do simple things like #1, there's 3 things you need to do. You need to mineralize, you need to mobilize, and you need to bind toxins. Right. So with mineralizing, people can just take a mineral supplement, electrolytes. Magnesium is super important. People aren't taking enough minerals. They're not very sexy. They're like, ooh, I need antioxidants and resveratrol and turmeric. But, and those are great.
The minerals are like the essentials, right? We need these minerals to do anything in our body.
Yeah, your body doesn't work properly without minerals. So people are kind of missing that in a lot of this marketing that people see on health websites. So minerals are paramount. Minerals are the spark plugs of the body, and they push out and displace metals from their binding sites. Yeah. So minerals are a big detox. People don't realize it. And then people need to mobilize. So you can take certain natural supplements that will mobilize toxins, pull them out of tissues and cells. Lots of things out there that you've heard of, cilantro and chlorella, and there's all kinds of substances out there that will do this, including EDTA or DMPS that people use with chelation therapy, doctors' offices. Those are mobilizers. And then binders are really important. These are things that just absorb toxins like a sponge. They bind onto it, and then you can excrete the toxins to the urine or the stool. I love things like citrus pectins are amazing. Activated charcoal is great. There's lots of different binders. Zeolite is a great binder as well. They all get different things. They all get different metals. So it's good to test to see what you have, because different supplements grab onto different metals. So you want to see it is what you have, but you can also just do very comprehensive things too, like minerals, some basic mobilizers, and some binders, and you can put together a good program for yourself.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you kind of laid it out so simply, because, when we see patients in the office, as you do, it's really important for patients to understand that, you really want to you can't just do one little thing and expect it to go away. You've got to hit it from every angle. And definitely the minerals are super important. So all of our patients are always going to be on minerals and electrolytes, as I'm sure yours are too. And then we do both, oral chelation and or IV chelation. So I'm glad you mentioned the EDTA. I'm so happy you mentioned chlorella, because chlorella can grab a lot of things
Oh
out.
yeah.
If you don't have access to a functional medicine center where you can get IV chelation, certainly, chlorella, cilantro, all of those can help you chelate it out. And this is a very important point that you made. And I always tell my patients this. Imagine that you're releasing all these toxins because you're sort of releasing it from your cells and you're extracting it with whether it's EDTA or chlorella or cilantro, what have you. But then it just goes around in your body and you don't want to do that. You want to bind it and get rid of it, excrete it. So that's where, and I love things like Zeobind and some of the others that you mentioned. So really great explanation on the process, right? Identify, excrete, and bind all of it together and get it all out of your body so you can start feeling better. How long does it usually take an individual to detoxify from heavy metals? Because, everybody wants overnight, just immediate gratification, and it's not that immediate. It takes time.
No, it does take time. If someone really hits it hard and they're doing everything they should be doing on a very comprehensive program, they could possibly accomplish that in 6 to 12 months. But if people take kind of the slow poke route and they're kind of not, doing some things and not others and forget one day, and they're not doing detox protocols like infrared saunas or ionic foot baths or whatnot, it's going to be a lot longer road for them. And then some people are very ill and they know they need to detox, but their body doesn't detox very well, or they're not stabilized yet. And so for some people that are, very ill or have chronic fatigue syndrome, some of them need to be stabilized first and, their digestion improved, whatnot, before they can start a detox program. Because you don't want to, drop a nuclear bomb before you built a bomb shelter. You don't want to start, adding fuel to the fire when someone's not feeling well. The last thing they need is all these toxins running around their bloodstream. Their body has to deal with. So we do a lot of things to stabilize people before we start to detox them. And so that can, add time to the detox timeline.
Right. And I think that's the important thing to really realize is don't look for immediate gratification, look for, slow improvement over time. And also make sure that you're not continually putting toxins in your body. So you don't want to be in a situation where, yes, you're going through a detox program, but yet you're not cutting out all the toxins from your environment, toxins from your food, toxins from, things that you might be, a home that might have a lot of lead or other things around. So you want to kind of cleanse your environment and then be able to cleanse your body, and your gut health is extremely important, right? To be able to do all this. So you're absolutely right. We always want to kind of stabilize an individual and make sure that they can handle this process that's going to kind of be a little tough on the body sometimes, right?
Yeah. And there's workarounds for that. Even people that are very, very ill, there's lots of things that they can do to detox their body. Some of them can just take a binder and that starts absorbing all kinds of toxins and they start feeling better just from taking a binder. But, there's lots of basic things that people need to do also. I very big on mitigating EMF from people's environments and minerals and proper hydration and other things that people need to do that sometimes it's not a complex thing that people need. Sometimes it's very, very, people need to get back to basics and check off all the very simple things that they need to be doing that can, reduce a lot of their symptoms that they have.
You bet. You bet. And I'm really glad that you mentioned infrared sauna and the ionic foot bath. Anybody that comes to my office that's going through detoxification or chelation, we absolutely insist on, that being a part of that protocol, because again, it's a great way of getting rid of those toxins. So, what do you do as far as, I know you've just moved to Mexico, right? So that's awesome.
Yes.
That's exciting. Do you have an infrared sauna with you in Mexico that you use? And how are you detoxifying while you've made this great move to Mexico?
Oh yes, I brought all my goodies with me, all my
Good.
biohacking stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I bought
We
a
travel
truck.
with it, don't we?
Yeah, I bought a truck and an Airstream, and I drove it all down. Because actually I was living in Houston, where you are, and so I brought my infrared sauna. I have a SaunaFix sauna.
Uh-huh.
I really love that one. It's a lady named Eileen Durfee developed it. It's an infrared bulb sauna, but there's lots of great saunas out there. I love Therasage. I love the Influencer sauna
Yeah.
by Robin Openshaw. There are lots of great saunas out there. Just depends on what you're looking for. I
Yeah.
like to lay down in my sauna.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the sauna because I can lay down and just relax. And then I have an Ionic foot bath. I like the Ion Cleanse by AMD, A Major Difference. And that one, I do that a couple hours a day, actually. And for me, I figured I needed to do about 160 hours of Ionic foot baths. I've completed about probably 100 hours so far over the course of the last year. But I still have a ways to go. But it's an amazing way to get out iron and lead and glyphosate and some other toxins that are not so easy to release from the body otherwise.
Mhm.
And so the foot bath is fantastic. And it's not that you're releasing toxins so much into the water. You are. There's a little bit there, but it's mainly you're excreting toxins over the 3 to 6 day period after you've done the foot bath. So again, binders really, really important. All of this stuff works together.
Yeah.
The foot baths also can pull minerals out. So you've got to replete your minerals when you're using these things. Same with sauna, you're sweating. So you've got to replete all those minerals and electrolytes as well.
For sure, for sure. I absolutely agree with you. In my sauna, that's sort of my meditation time. I'm in there sweating away, and it's really an amazing time to just kind of close your eyes and do your meditation and just be with yourself. So it also kills two birds with one stone for us type A people. We want
Yes.
to get it all done,
Yeah,
right?
I'm definitely multitasking
Yeah,
always.
definitely. Why not, right? So let's talk about another really interesting topic that a lot of our patients ask us about. And this is something that we treat a lot at my practice because it's been a personal journey for me. And I think, I went through breast cancer last year and just finished all my treatments earlier this year in May and got my clean bill of health in November. So I'm pretty excited about that. But with all the treatments, lost all my hair, and this is all new growth right here. But also, when I was early 30s, after I had Zaid, my second child, who is now 17, I lost big patches of my hair postpartum. And so hair loss is really near and dear to my heart because we women, especially, and men too, a lot of men come to the practice for hair loss because none of us want to, lose hair. Um, how is heavy metal toxins connected to hair loss? How does that impact hair loss, in your opinion and your experience?
Yes, there are definitely a lot of metals that can cause hair loss. Arsenic is a big one. I lost about a fifth of my hair after I had a big uranium purge. In Southern California, Southwest United States, there's uranium in the water, in the water you're showering in. So when I was detoxing that, I had a lot of hair falling out. It's really concerning, but it grew back.
Yeah.
And thallium
Mm-hmm.
can also be a big cause of hair loss. Mercury as well. So those are kind of the top, and thallium. So those are the top metals that cause hair loss.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the same process that you want to go through because, when people come in for hair loss, they just right away we think thyroid, right? We always think thyroid, fix that. That's an easy fix, especially if you're using, trying to get them into the optimal range. Right away you think nutritional deficiencies. Right away you think, excessive stress or adrenal fatigue or hormonal imbalances, estrogen dominance. And this is another thing that I really want patients to, or people or listeners to think about, that it could also be heavy metal toxins, right? And that needs to be part of the equation when you're trying to reverse the hair loss that you've had. And obviously, there are so many things that we can do for hair loss to reverse it. But first and foremost, you want to kind of get to the root cause and fix the underlying causes of what led to hair loss in the first place. And then we can do, PRP for hair. We can do all kinds of great nutritional supplements and balanced hormones and thyroid, et cetera. So that's a very important topic for a lot of people. The other important topic is, we're seeing so much with cognitive performance and brain fog, right? It's almost becoming an epidemic now, isn't it? And that's another topic that I'd love to address. What is the role that heavy metals and toxins in general play with brain function?
Yes. Yeah, I know a lot of people struggle with brain fog.
Mhm.
And so the metals that contribute to, cognitive decline are mercury is a big one. It's very neurophilic. It loves that fatty nerve tissue. Aluminum is another one. It's also plays a big role in killing brain cells and interfering in brain cell nerve transmission. And then we have iron. Iron toxicity is a huge, huge problem because of all these iron fortified foods like breads and pastries and cereals and things that a lot of health conscious people are avoiding now, but probably grew up with their entire lives eating that. And so there's a form of iron in there that is not there's a form of iron that's our bodies just can't release it, or we just can't use it nutritionally. It's not the right iron that we need for our bodies. And so it just builds up in your liver and other tissues and is a big contributor to dementia as well. So mercury, aluminum, and iron are big contributors to cognitive decline, but also many different forms of dementia as well.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And just to add to that, a lot of my audience already knows this, and my husband has ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. So the last 3 years have been just intense amount of research into neurodegenerative diseases in general, including dementia, as you mentioned, Parkinson's, MS, ALS, and so on. And you're absolutely right. I mean, a big thing that I tell all my patients that I see now with neurodegenerative diseases and ALS is, do you have mercury amalgams? First of all, we need to find you a biologic dentist to remove the mercury amalgams. Do you have other heavy metals? Let's get you tested. Let's remove those heavy metals. Because like you said, there's a big affinity with those heavy metals inside the brain. And when you are talking about losing motor neurons to the point of becoming completely paralyzed and not able to move any muscle in your body, we know that there's a lot of toxins, including heavy metals. And we're looking at, other things like mycotoxins. We're looking at retroviruses. We're looking at other different kinds of viruses and other deficiencies. But heavy metals is the big one that we're looking at. So I think removing those carefully and cautiously under an expert's guidance, I think is really key, because I've also found that when patients try to be super aggressive about it, a lot of times their symptoms actually worsen because it puts a lot of load on their body, right? What do you think about heavy metals and cancers? Have you looked into that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because my father died of esophageal cancer. And that's really what kind of was another thing that propelled me into, researching underlying root causes of cancer. And, of course, heavy metals play a huge role in that. And so the number one metal that causes cancer, it causes more cancers than all of the other heavy metals combined, is cadmium.
Mm-hmm.
And so cadmium is something that we get in cigarette smoke. My
Mm-hmm.
dad was a smoker for 40 years. But you also get it in medicinal or recreational marijuana as well. So you have to be very careful about that. Even though it has, medicinal benefits, there are downsides because the hemp plant, they use it to clean up toxic soil because it is very, very adept at absorbing all the toxins out of the soil, including heavy metals. So you have to be really, really careful about that. And then it's also in the air. So it's also in any kind of migratory fish and shellfish as well. So it gets in the air from coal burning.
Yeah.
And then that gets into our ocean and our food supply in the ocean. And so lots of different sources. And I think everyone has some amount of cadmium in their body. But how it causes cancer is it It interferes when cells combine, when DNA divides. And so with that cadmium interfering in that cell division, you can have an aberrant copy of the DNA. You can have these, this DNA that's just not working properly. It's aberrant. And then that cell that's now, that's not working properly can then grow and turn into a tumor eventually. So that's kind of the genesis of how cadmium causes cancers. And, we have, thousands of cancer cells in our body at any one time, but it's when over time, when our immune system becomes fatigued or overrun, that it's no longer able to detect and, get rid of these cancer cells. So heavy metals interfere in your immune system and your neutrophils and all of your T cells and B cells and whatnot. So, cadmium, lead, mercury, arsenic are metals that interfere in immune functioning.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought that up because, in the day and time that we're living right now with the COVID-19 pandemic, the biggest thing that I always tell my patients, and I'm sure you do this as well, is we need to all work on our immune system being the strongest it can possibly be at this time because, we're constantly exposed. Unless you're constantly quarantining yourself in the house, you are going to eventually be around people. Somebody may not be wearing their mask or somebody coughs up and there's just so much exposure right now. And, this is not to instigate any fear or anything like that. This is really to be proactive and say, this is one time in history where our immune system really needs to be strengthened. And when you have heavy metals or other toxins in our bodies, our immune system is not going to work the way it needs to work. So what can we do besides some of the things that we've talked about to boost our immune system and get rid of toxins sort of all together at the same time? In addition to, of course, what we've talked about, and then certainly proper sleep, proper nutrition, proper hydration, exercise, mindfulness, really focusing on all of those things, stress reduction. Any other tips that you can share that might be sort of immune promoting or immunity promoting?
Yes, I love infrared saunas for immunity because number one, they heat your body up 2 or 3 degrees, and that will kill off a lot of pathogens in your body just by itself. They're very heat intolerant. But it also activates heat shock proteins. There's about 90 of them or so, and that's part of your immune system. So it really activates your immune system as well. And it induces this faux fever that will kill off a lot of stuff in your body. And then, of course, like I mentioned, taking minerals. Your immune system needs zinc and it needs other minerals to work properly. And of course, eating a proper diet, when you eat sugar, your immune system is depressed for a few hours afterwards. So avoiding refined carbohydrates and sugar is really, really important right now. And also taking care of your liver. Your liver is one of the frontline organs in your immunity. People don't really give it credit for that, but really important to take care of your liver. I'm constantly doing liver care and giving my liver some liver love because it's one of my weak points.
Yeah.
And so I'm always drinking, apple juice, a fresh apple juice, beet juice, because those are, they have sugar in them, yes, but the apple juice has a lot of malic acid in it, which is very, very helpful for your liver. There are liver flushes out there. I have a 14-day liver rehab cleanse. It's fantastic. That goes into a lot of different liver tips, liver foods. There are things like coffee enemas are amazing. Not terribly glamorous, and people don't get
right?
they don't get excited
Not so much fun to do, but very good for you.
Yes, people don't get excited about that, especially our guys listening.
Yay, time for my coffee enema, right?
But they're amazing. And I when I finally convince clients to do them, it might take a year sometimes.
Yeah.
And they start doing them. They're like, oh my God, I feel unbelievable after I do them. So, there's 100 million people in the United States alone with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And it goes hand in hand with metabolic disease. If you have high cholesterol, high blood sugar, heart disease, that's something my father suffered from as well. And that's just with a diagnosed condition. Imagine the people that just have for functioning livers, I think there's a lot working against our liver, our diet, industrial seed oils and stress and just bad diets and whatnot. So you really need to be, if you want to be healthy, you need to be thinking about caring for your liver. And not only that, it's really, really important for your immunity as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed that out in our 7-day detox and immunity challenge. We have an entire session that I do on liver and bile detox.
Yes.
Because you're right. I mean, that is your big detox organ. And if it's not going to work well, what are you going to do, right? I mean, you're going to keep all these toxins in. I totally second what you said on the infrared sauna and, cutting out refined sugars and really just focusing on giving your body the love and the nurturing and the self-care that you need. I mean, I think it's amazing when we're emotionally in a better place, our immune system works better. We sleep better. We feel overall better. And when we're giving ourselves the self-care that our bodies need, our bodies are miraculous, machinery, right? It just does such wonders when we give it the love that we need. So self-care is a huge part of all this as well. And taking the time out to do this for yourself and your family. But you can't just be all about, and we women are famous for that, right? We'll just do it for everybody else and then we come last. But I've learned in the last 3 years that you've got to, if you're not well, nobody's going to be well. It's putting the oxygen on yourself first. A simple liver supplement that's great is milk thistle, right? I mean, I get my patients on milk thistle. It just helps them on a daily basis to just keep the liver doing what it needs to do. And this is sort of like we're going to come to an end here and talk about one other really important thing, another toxin that a lot of people don't know about or talk about. So let me ask you about one of your most important and recent projects, the impact of EMFs on our health, right? What are some of the simple ways we can all address the positive ions EMF, what it causes, and let's talk about the symptoms that it creates in our health. But just to help people understand what we're talking about here, even though they may not feel EMFs, we are bombarded by them 24/7, and they are showing up, just disguised as anxiety or headaches and other illnesses and symptoms. So what are we going to do with this 5G world we're in right now?
Yeah, well, just for anyone that's not really sure what EMFs are, a lot of people aren't aware of what they are. It's electromagnetic fields or frequencies, and they're emitted by your computer, by your wireless internet, by all of your 50 neighbors' wireless internet, and the cell phone towers, and your cars, and your smart, your television, anything that's Bluetooth, anything that's electric, the electricity in your walls. I mean, the smart meter that's sending broadcasting out to your electric company, how much electricity you use. It's absolutely everywhere. And these are the frequencies that interfere in our body's native frequencies. So our bodies have this energy field around it. Our heart sends out an energy field like 10 feet in diameter around you. Your brain waves are frequencies. Your body communicates and operates very much with frequencies.
Right.
And when you have all these non-native frequencies that are bombarding your body is not able to function as well as it should in the absence of those frequencies. And so EMFs in our environment are growing so much. I mean, we've got these 5G satellites that are going up. There's supposed to be 100,000 5G satellites in the next few years that are going up. This is courtesy of, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. There's another company called OneWeb that are funding or directly involved in launching these. And it's already started. They started doing testing in August of 2020. So some people might have, started experiencing symptoms like, heart palpitations or brain fog or insomnia, anxiety, depression. It depresses your immune system as well, causes infertility. I mean, there's a wide range of symptoms that are shown in the research to be caused by EMF. And so I very much a part of people's health regimen needs to be thinking about protecting their body from EMF. This is one of those basic things I talk about that, that I do when I'm trying to stabilize someone. I'm trying to get rid of their, trying to figure out what's going on, what's the underlying root cause of their symptoms. Everyone's going to be impacted by EMF, whether they feel like they have symptoms from it or not. Because at Harmony Pendant, we've done different kinds of HRV testing, or heart rate variability testing. And EMFs dramatically impact people's heart rate variability, which is a measure of stress. So even people that don't feel stressed, their HRV scores go down dramatically when they're in the presence of even just a very small EMF source. And so, and given the fact that these EMFs are growing in our environment, it's something that people have to wake up to. They have to pay attention to this and take measures to protect themselves.
Right, right. Some of the things, that I tell my patients along the same lines is, I know a lot of people want to have Wi-Fi, but turn it off at night. I mean, at least save yourself about 12 hours of Wi-Fi. Turn it off, set it on a timer. Make sure that you're not charging your phones right by your bedside. In fact, charge it in a different room. And definitely don't, be around electronics right before sleeping, because it disrupts your REM sleep so very dramatically. So there are things that we can do. Yes, they seem to be a little disruptive. Like I'm on an Ethernet cable right now,
Yeah, I'm hardwired too.
Old-fashioned way. And, as much as you can do, unfortunately, it is all around us. But once we realize how disruptive it is, yes, convenience is just like, it's just like microwaves, right? I mean, we didn't have microwaves. We lived without them. Then we had microwaves for a couple of decades. And now I hardly ever touch the microwave. In fact, I've unplugged it from the wall and my kids are not happy about it. But hey, I'm like, heat it up on the stove. That's how we used to do it in the past, right? I mean, things that you can do to avoid all this. And it might seem like it's relearning some of the processes, but it is so very important for our overall health.
Yeah, and there's like you said, there's lots of things that you can do, like you said, lots of very simple things you can do to reduce your exposure. But and I know there's a lot of people that they have all kinds of things to protect themselves at home, that they'll have earthing sheets, or I have a Blue Shield device. Blue Shield is great. It works in 3 different ways to mitigate the effects of EMF. But if you go outside of your home, like if you're going to work or the store, you need something to protect your body from EMF. And even if you turn off your wireless router at night, you can have 30 or 50 or even 100 Wi-Fi networks, if you especially live in an apartment building or a densely populated area. So I was very lucky to be introduced to the founder of this guy who founded the Harmony Pendant. It's this little pendant right here. And it's something that we've done a couple different studies on and proven that it does mitigate some of the effects of EMF. It's not 100%, but in our study, after wearing it for 5 minutes, we found that people had a 48% reduction in the effects of EMF.
Wow.
And yeah, so after 5 minutes of wearing it.
Where can people find that?
Yeah, so you can go on harmonypendant.com. You can click the link below also in the video. And so this is great. It's just a very simple thing. It protects you everywhere that you go. But this is not the only thing you can do. But it's a very simple, quick, easy thing that everybody can do, and at least give you some protection from EMF. People need all the help that they can get. So this is, and a lot of people are kind of confused on like what to get or what, a lot of the solutions can be very expensive. Like my Blue Shield was $1,300. So it's not cheap, but this is a very inexpensive, like starter thing you can do, at least start mitigating some of the effects of EMF. But I still encourage people to do more than just this. But it's not only just EMF mitigation, but we also found this dramatically reduces stress, which is, at forefront of most people's minds right now. I don't know about you guys, it's just been a very, very stressful year. So in the study that we did on HRV, we found that people had a 700% improvement on average in their heart rate variability. which is a measure of stress. We saw that people had 160% improvement in their circadian rhythms. So their sleep improved. People had a 580% improvement in their energy production and storage. So we tested about 30 different variables. People also had dramatic improvements in their chakra functioning, in their meridian energy flow as well. Some people had 2,000% increase in some of their meridian flows. And so both of those studies on harmonypendant.com.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for mentioning that, because, you know, these are things that we can do very easily, and certainly we can't block 100%, but hey, I'll take 40% or 60%, whatever we can take is how much healthier we can be, right? So listen, thank you so much for sharing all your great words of wisdom with our listeners today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Really nice having you. Is there anything that you want to, you know, share with the listeners, how to find you, how to get a hold of you, or some of the things that you do? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yes. So you can find me on myersdetox.com, and you can find the Harmony Pendant on harmonypendant.com, or just click the link below. And and you know, I always say that, you know, detox is, it's not a race. Detox is a lifestyle. It's not something you just do for a couple of months or once every season or so. It's a lifestyle, and it's something that I live and breathe. And I do something every single day: detox supplements, liver supporting supplements, coffee enemas, foot baths, saunas. I'm doing, you know, 1 or 2 or 3, several things a day to facilitate detoxification in my body. And so it's just, it needs to be a lifestyle, it's something that you add into your health regime, just like you do food or supplements or exercise.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, listen, enjoy Mexico, and think about us when you're at the beach, and take care. Thank you again for being here, and we will catch everybody later. Join us again next week, everybody. And thank you, Wendy Myers, for joining us today. Thank you so much for making time for today's podcast with Get Well with Dr. Shel. I know that this conversation and education can help you to create your best life possible on every level. So definitely tune in to hear the newest expert and learn the latest protocols to support your best health journey. You can learn more about me and my wellness center at drshel.com, drshel.com, and I hope that you will make time to come visit us in the Houston area to take a deep dive on self-care. My team and I are completely devoted to helping you live a better life from this moment forward. The best days of your life are ahead of you, I promise. This podcast is a powerful and simple way to carry the wisdom of thought leaders from around the world in your pocket and continue to develop your own healing journey every single day. So let the journey begin.